All right, anyone else? So before I turn it over to the state, I'm going to tell you all two stories, and both of them are true. So the first one, I know that jury duty is a hassle. I always tell people jury duty is an inconvenience, and I'll explain to you why I say it's an inconvenience. Your country only asks two things of you. One, pay taxes, and two, report to jury duty. And I say it's an inconvenience because you have to come downtown for jury duty. There are so many one-ways that somebody who designed the city thinks that one-ways will make traffic go quicker, and it doesn't. It just gets everybody frustrated when you're coming downtown for the first time because you're saying, the building's right there. If I could turn right, and then we got construction, and then you have to pay for parking, and you're probably saying, I'm doing a service by coming down for jury duty. Why am I being made to pay for parking? I don't write the rules, so I'm not in charge of why you have to pay for parking. But I will tell you, it's an inconvenience. We cannot have jury trials unless we have jurors. There does no good to complain about the television about why did they do this or why did they do that if you're not a part of the process. My mother and my family grew up in this small town in Louisiana called Grand Cane, Louisiana. Population in its heyday, maybe 2,400 people, possibly. So all the teachers knew everybody. My uncle, extremely intelligent, and my mom would always say how intelligent he was. And the teachers knew them, and the teachers knew all their students. So with my uncle, he kept getting passed up a grade because he was so intelligent. I remember when computers were coming out, he knew everything there was to know about a computer, and people were always trying to hire him. So lo and behold, my uncle is going through school at rapid pace because he's super intelligent. Then his sisters and his brother come in behind him, and the teachers are saying, you all had better show us something because your brother is super intelligent and we're expecting this from you all too. So of course, that made it difficult on his siblings. So my uncle graduates from high school. The Vietnam War starts. My uncle goes to my grandmother and he says, there's nothing for me here in Grand Cane. The way the society is, I'm not going to be able to get to do things that I want to do. So I want to sign up and just go ahead and go to Vietnam because they're drafting all of the boys here anyway. So my grandmother had to sign for him, and she signed for him. So imagine that's her firstborn child. It's not like you have today where you have a computer and you can sit down at your computer and send emails to each other. It's not where you can pick up the phone and call, because during their time frame, when you wanted to make a phone call, you picked up the phone, the operator picked it up, and you gave them the 4 numbers that you wanted to connect to. It wasn't a situation where you have stations that are on TV 24 hours. They had 3 stations, NBC, ABC, and CBS. And NBC, it was pretty dicey on whether you were going to get that to work or not, because you have the rabbit ears, right? And then your programming would shut off, and then, they play the national anthem. I know some of the young people are like, what did you guys do when the TV went off? It just went off. Everybody goes to bed. So if you can imagine her sending her underage child off to Vietnam, nobody really knew where Vietnam was. And you're sending them off. You don't know when they're going to arrive because you're getting the snail mail. Then you got to figure out where you're supposed to write to deliver their mail. And then you don't know if they're going to come back home or not. You realize they've been sent to Vietnam, and you learn months later, 6 months. My grandmother would always say, it was 6 to 8 months before I knew, yes, he's in Vietnam. And then you're trying to send letters there. And you only got a letter from Vietnam because, the higher ups make you write a letter to your parent to say, I've arrived safely. That's all they know. And then you're waiting to get letters back, and it's months and months before you get letters. So you don't know if your child is all right or not. So that's a sacrifice. That's why I say jury duty is an inconvenience. And sometimes we forget the true definition of sacrifice and the true definition of inconvenience. just so you know, my uncle made it back from Vietnam. He has since passed. We miss him dearly, but I always tell that story so people can realize that in the big scheme of things, this is all an inconvenience.